Okay, this is going to be an update for the latest post to AceRacersSP. There's actually a small one that I just posted now, so hopefully you didn't check it until now. So adjustable color hoops can be adjusted from the pause menu or from the F3 menu, and I'm going to go through that in a second. These colors are not going to change the default color of the hoops, and there's no way to change the default color of the hoops in this case. The default color will be white, so every time you load into a scene, all of the adjustable color hoops will be white. There is an exception where I make a note here, if you think it looks orange or purple or something like that, that's because the scene has colored lighting, and that because they're white, they're going to be affected by that colored lighting. So if you place, or if you look in the menu and they're yellow or orange, then you're going to say, oh, that's crazy, why this is supposed to be white. They are, it's just that the lighting is off. I had a few bugs that I had to fix. I know they're not really bugs, but on the other hand they are. One of them was an actual bug where it was another part of the code where I had some debug code lines in there, and they were interrupting. So I'm gonna go right back to the main vehicle that had the problem, and I'm gonna prove it out that it works. So I'll make a new test, and we're gonna go over the function of the hoop colors. So there's two ways to get to the hoop colors menu. One of them is from the pause menu, and you can go to the adjustable hoop colors menu, and I'm not sure where I'm gonna put my head up here. I'm gonna put it up here. Okay. OBS is wonky. So here you can see you can select each hoop, and these are the different adjustable color hoops. And then here's the tunnel sections as well have adjustable colors, and you can see that they actually have a texture. And one problem with solid colors is that when you get your camera screen very close to it, this is a very good hoop example because it's just big and flat, then you don't see any definition. Just the solid color on your screen doesn't give you information to use to keep yourself oriented when you're trying to fly a vehicle. So one of the things that I'm going to try to do in the future is I'm going to add maybe a few different texture maps, where I'll just put the height map as the base map or something like that. Or maybe I'll add a normal map, an optional normal map with some noise, so that when you get very close to these objects, there will be some texturing. The round ones, it's not important because the lighting reflects off of the round curvature, and you get that information still. You still have, like, even though the solid color is occupying the whole screen, you still have orientation feedback. But for some of these that are quite large, and when you get very close to one of the colors, when you get your camera up against this red area, you're not going to be able to see which way you're going, or nothing around is going to be helping you stay oriented. So it depends on, after some testing, if it's an issue where I feel like, yeah, people are going to get too close and they're going to get confused and lost, or not. We'll see. And then maybe where you can add some kind of patterning to it so that it'll help you stay oriented. That's actually what's going on here with you go to the normal. Why do I have all these patterned, like, what is the point of all this patterning on these hoops? And the reason why it's so important to have that patterning is because when you get very close, so that so much of the object is taking up most of your screen, if it's a solid color and a flat surface like this one, then you can't tell which, if you're moving, you don't get any feedback about your motion. So if you're spinning, you can't see that you're spinning. You can't see that you're upside down now. There's nothing to let you know that. So having texture is really important for. Okay, so then the F3 menu is the other way to get to the adjustable colors menu. It's the same menu, just you get there from another way. And then what you do is you select the hoop that you want to change, And then you press the hoop color button and you'll get this interestingly movable little pop-up window here, and then you can select your color. And one thing that I have noticed, and I'm just not sure if there's anything that I can do about it, this is an asset that I'm using. If you just click, it doesn't move the ball to where you are. In order to get this spot, you have to click and drag just a little bit. So once you've dragged for a distance, then it'll let you, and I'm not sure if there's anything I can really do about that. Okay, so then if I go back here, then I can come down to the bottom here and I can select. And then you can see here's the picture, it's just white, but here's the object itself, and you can see where I've changed the color on some of it. Yeah, here's one. Okay, so then I place the object, and you can see that's a very big hoop. Or maybe this is a small one. Or here's another small one. And alright, so here's something else about this. Now that I've placed those, that does not lock them. So the objects themselves do not individually save their color. All of this one hoop is this one color. So if I come here and you can see I've got this one placed here, and if I change it to another color, it's going to change it in the scene. And so now you can see that it's green over there. Okay. So if you wanted to have several of this one, well, you can't really do that. But there are several different hoops, so you could compose your course of different shapes, and then you would be able to have different colors that way. Right? Okay, so in the future I may add duplicates, or I may not. I really have to kind of wait and kind of think about that one, because it would be cool to be able to have duplicates, but for example, this vehicle doesn't have as many hoop selections, but I can add more default hoops, or maybe I'll just add duplicates of the colors. But I'm not going to remove, if I go back to the drone, now the drone is the most comprehensive of them. And if I go here, and you can see that there's already a whole bunch of different colors of everything, you know. So each basic hoop shape is represented here in the drone already, with all different textures and patterns and colors and variations of each. So really you could compose your course using these and then some of the color ones, and then that should give you the color diversity that you need if you want. For example, your final checkpoint to be a different color, then you could just use one of these existing ones for the most part. Some of the other vehicles, like the forward-only vehicle, they do have a few fewer items, but I don't perceive that those would be particularly popular. And so far, nobody wants to play them except for me, so I'm not terribly concerned about it. And it's true that I do kind of want to have the ability to place different colors of hoop, but using a different shape and a different color to me isn't the end of the world. In fact, I kind of like it. So maybe a checkpoint hoop, you know, could also be a little bit bigger if it's an important checkpoint, or a little bit smaller, and then that can be okay for the flow of the course. So I kind of want to, part of me wants to leave that limitation. So when you save, so I'm going to go back to a less cluttered scene here. So when you save, these colors will save with your save. So I'll get a little ways away here. I'm going to select one of these colored hoops. I'm going to put some tunnels down. So if I put some tunnels down, I don't ever drive this on the keyboard. I'll just put some tunnels down real quick. So here's some tunnels. Now they just need a color. So then I'll go to the F3 menu, to the colors menu, and to the tunnels. and I'll assign a nice pink hue. I always think it's funny how there's light green, light blue, light yellow, and pink. I don't really know why that is, but okay, so then I'm done. So here I am. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna call this one color test. So I save color test here, and actually it should work right away if I load color test. You see nothing changes, but I'll just exit out of the scene real quick, and then I'll go back in. So now if I load color test, it has the colors. Okay. So I'll pop back out of the scene really quick. I'll pop back in. And if I place some of this particular object, you can see that it doesn't have the colors. Okay, but if I go back and I load color test, it now has the colors. So the colors will save with your save, but there's no way to set them as default. They'll always default to white. And that basically summarizes the update. So then in review, when you're going to build a course, so you can save the race mesh colors that light up, and you can have some adjustable hoop colors that will save with your save. So you can build out your course, you can place space stations, or you can go to, so here we have where just out in the open space, but some of these other scenes, here's a one where if I place an object, it'll already kind of have a little bit of a hue. So that's white, but you see it's kind of a greenish lighting, you know. So here this environment's all cartoony and it's low poly and stuff, so you might want to have, you know, different a very particular color scheme for the hoops themselves, and then the race meshes when they light up. Another thing that's about the race meshes that's important is that you can change the transparency. So here's the front side mesh. So you can make them really solid or less or more transparent. By default, they're pretty transparent and they still stand out pretty loud, but you do have that ability, so you can kind of tune that as well. And that about summarizes everything. And I'm looking at my notes, and I'm not sure. Probably not going to do anything else today. So maybe over the course of the week, I'll have some brainstorming. But for now, that kind of looks like all I'm really thinking about as far as most recent upcoming things. So if I come here to my plans, there are some little extrapolations on the color changing, and then I need to readdress how the sprites are viewed when you're selecting your object. Right now there's a few different cameras, and if it's really big, maybe it's in one camera. So I may set it up so that it automatically spawns the camera unique to each object, and then you only need one camera. But actually that'd be a mountain of work, because every single object that you might add will need its own camera setup, and it's kind of a lot of work to set up each camera. I need to work on the bonk panels, but I'm not in a hurry to do that right now because they're kind of a niche thing. Yeah, so overall I'm going to call this a state of so probably at this point I'll probably release a major update where I won't change anything. I'm just gonna wait for a little bit, and I probably need to make a few courses to include, and maybe I'll have to figure out some more bug fixes and stuff like that. So right now when you import, you know, for example, campaigns, So none of the courses and campaigns, for example, that you might import. So if you import a campaign, right now these two are this one is the only one that's included in the download. So I may try to make a few more of these, and then I'll have to set them up to have, you know, maybe the race mesh colors and stuff like that. And then if you're gonna import single levels and stuff like that, or levels packs, all of this kind of stuff is kind of old and dated. So I'm probably not going to change anything else in the game. And then what I'll do is, and then the other thing too is the training menu is totally, you know, abandoned. What I'm probably going to do is make some training campaigns that will work off of these levels. And I'm not really big on this whole training thing. I mean, I just kind of think it's unnecessary. The game is already kind of a niche game where you're not going to play a game like this unless you're kind of already a little bit advanced on the idea of you want to learn to fly with Newtonian physics. Almost every single person who's going to come into the game, they're going to find out that there's no space friction, and they're going to say, well, I can't play that anyways. I don't want to play at all. You know, they're going to come in, they're going to find out that acceleration works like this. You know, if I rotate, my rotation works like that, and that'll be it. They're gonna say that's enough. I'm out. I'm done. Don't want it. And those are the people who are gonna benefit the most from training. You know, they're gonna want somebody to walk them through all the buttons and stuff like that. Somebody who already thinks it's a flight simulator, already knows that flight simulators have a bit of a learning curve, and you have to take it upon yourself to learn. And I do still have a perfectly valid, you know, instructions that if you can't figure out the menus and stuff, eventually you're gonna go back to the main and you're gonna see instructions, and then you're gonna read, like here, the controls description, and you're gonna see that it describes what all the controls are supposed to do. I'm gonna probably have to update this as well, because there's a few more controls now that I've added some more stuff to the pause menu. So it'll be an explanation of, you know, the colored, adjustable color hoops and adjustable color race meshes. All that's going to be in here. And really this is what I need to work on. And then to me, the kind of person who will take the time it takes to get better at Newtonian physics will be the kind of person who they just kind of want to be able to read what it's supposed to be to make sure that they figured it out correctly. And that's what I'm going to kind of focus on. And then what I'll do for the training menu is there'll be silly little courses. There'll be no training on how to place objects. There'll just be silly little courses, maybe with some text pop-ups that appear, and then I'll make those into training campaigns. And then you'll be able to import the training campaigns, and then when you start the campaign, it should take you all of 2 minutes to get through the first hoop, and that'll be the end of level 1. And then it'll take you all of 2 minutes to get through 2 hoops in a row, and that'll be the end of level 2. And that'll be like the objective for the training campaign, will be just some examples of the most basic navigational exercise that a beginner should try to practice, rather than a walkthrough of how the buttons work. And for buttons and stuff like that, I'll try to put a few more of these hints around, so that, you know, as you're trying to look at it, you'll see, oh, here's some buttons, and then oh, here's some more buttons, and, you know, I'll add some more of that kind of stuff around. But as for features being put into the game, I'm going to call this a particular update cycle state, and then you can release an event, and I'll make like a major update event that'll pop up here, and it'll pop up on the store page. See right here on the store page, none of that shows up. The last regular update, you know, so here, you know, so in order to see all the things that I've added recently, you need to see all of the updates. And it just goes on for days, and nobody wants to see that. And so I'll take some pictures, I'll make a decoratable, you know, one of these, make an announcement. So even though all the features will be in the game, I'll make like a more official update announcement, and then that'll be kind of like what I work on next. Alright, so thank you very much. 20 minutes is a long video. Alright, have a good afternoon.